That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
The British Constitution provides that taxation and representation shall go together. Therefore, women taxpayers are entitled to vote.
I have a dream today. Let freedom ring, and if America is to be a great nation, this must become true.
Hi, welcome to episode 26 of Only Human. Today we're starting a new series on problem solving. And like always, we hope to turn some conventional wisdom on its head to see how we can apply some of these ideas in our everyday lives. I think it's going to be an interesting series. I think there's going to be something here for everybody. So hopefully you'll give me some feedback and let me know what you think. So we'll start with saying there's been a little bit, maybe a lot of media and public attention lately focused on things falling off of airplanes. And as you know, I'm an airplane guy, pilot for most of my adult life, and things aren't supposed to fall off airplanes. And there's been a lot of other quality and safety concerns going on inside the aviation industry, which has always been the benchmark for the safest industry known to man. So you probably already know some of the key players that have been part of this ongoing saga of quality and safety concerns in aviation. So I'm not going to name anybody here, but I will tell you that one airline had 10 events, all recently publicized over a period of 2 weeks. That's a lot, right? So in response, the airline CEO made the following statement. I'm going to have to read this here, but I want to get it exactly right. All right, here we go. Unfortunately, in the past few weeks, our airline has experienced a number of incidents that are reminders of the importance of safety. While they are all unrelated, pause quote, that's an interesting comment when they haven't all been fully investigated yet. But back to the quote, I want you to know that these incidents have our attention and have sharpened our focus. Our team is reviewing the details of each case to understand what happened and using those insights to inform our safety training and procedures across all employee groups, end quote. So I think this is a really interesting response, and it can be boiled down to, I think, one short sentence. We're studying the problem. Here's the deal. The conventional wisdom on problem solving tells us that we have to understand the problem before we can implement a solution. And that sounds kind of logical. Sounds really logical, and it sort of is. But it all boils down to how much do we really need to understand any problem before we begin to address it. So that's a little bit about what we're going to talk about today. And that sets us up for the Blue Threat Proverb of the Week. This week it's number 17. You can analyze the past, but you must design the future. You can analyze the past, but you must design the future. So what does that mean? Pretty much what it says, right? And much like what that airline CEO was saying, and much like what so many people in industry and in business and in our personal lives, quite honestly, say about problem solving is, I need to look at really what's going on and what's wrong. And when I can pinpoint exactly what's wrong, I'll know what to do. So here's what's tricky about studying the problem, air quotes for those of you that are listening. First of all, studying a problem delays any effort to fix it, right? Almost by definition, we're going to study it, we're going to figure out what to fix, and then we'll fix it. And secondly, if you study it too long, it's not the same problem at all. And this is really where we get into what we want to talk about today. So I'm going to go back and repeat that last sentence. Here's what's tricky about studying the problem. Studying the problem delays the effort to fix it. And secondly, if we study it too long, it's not the same problem at all. Problems have a life of their own. They build inertia, they mutate, and they often change the culture in which they occur. They can change the people around which they occur, which in turn changes the problem itself. You see, by the time we get enough information, we'll come back to that phrase in a moment, the problem will have changed. And so any solutions we develop will address the old version of the problem and not the new one. And this leads to something that people call analysis paralysis, right? The never-ending study of a problem that satisfies one of our basic human needs, right? It satisfies our need to do something without really doing anything. It avoids the risk of being wrong with our solution. And that's what timid leaders and timid people love about studying the problem rather than implementing solutions. Doing nothing is safer than being wrong, at least for the leaders, if not for the rest of us, right? So here's an idea. What if at the very first sign of a serious problem, we took action? What if we designed that future we want and drove toward it, right? Remember, you can analyze the past, but you have to design the future. Instead of studying every past event and trying to prevent it from happening again, what would it look like if we studied solutions instead of studying problems? I think it would look something like how SpaceX operates. So SpaceX, if you're not familiar, is Elon Musk's company that private sector, heavy lift space operations. Initially, real small. They've grown like crazy. They are getting very close to monopolizing heavy lift into space. And of course, Elon Musk's vision of growing a rose on Mars. So I'm a huge space science fiction guy. When I was little, I loved watching everything come to reality. And if you're familiar with the Starship launches, this is, I don't know how much a Starship costs, $billion, something like that. They launch one and it fails, right? Blows up half the pad. FAA shuts them down. They come back. They're loading up another one. As soon as they get permission, they launch the second one. It fails, but it fails a little bit later. Most recently, they rolled in and they launched the third one. It gets up and enters orbit and goes around, and then it fails. Part of it fails on reentry. At the very same time, they're just pulling another Starship down out of the magazine and bringing it back to launch pad. They're ready to go again in just a couple of weeks. How do they do that? Why do they do it? And see how much different that is from, say, NASA or other organizations that build these perfectly designed things and then have to redesign and rebuild. See, what SpaceX does is something called rapid prototyping. And that's what I want to get at here today, because I think we can all do rapid prototyping. Rapid prototyping is kind of a entrepreneurial tool. And in business, it involves a cycle of designing and testing, analyzing, and refining solutions at a highly accelerated pace, right? So this process allows for an immediate application of lessons learned after every launch, right? So as something goes wrong on that Starship, the minute that data comes in, it's being sent to the engineers and they're fixing that piece for the next one. Now, something else may fail, and the whole concept of fail fast, fail often, fail forward comes into place, right? The nature of rapid prototyping means that as you are addressing the problem of getting to space or managing your stress or working on your fitness or whatever it is, you implement a plan, a small plan, and then you refine the solution as you go. You adapt, you improve continuously. And in line with the new data, the new people, new technologies, or any change in your environment. And best of all, it favors forward action, right? It makes us people of action. It builds a sense of urgency. It's fun. And it cures that disease of analysis paralysis. So what might rapid prototyping look like in our daily lives? Well, we're going to find all that out in just 60 seconds right after a word from our sponsor.
So, you need some IA refresher credit, huh? We've all been there. Which one are you doing this time? The one with a 4-hour video hosted by a boring nerd? Or the one with a 50-page workbook printed on cheap paper? Wait a minute. What's this? The Aviation Maintenance Never Events is a brand new approach to preventing the 7 most common and most costly accidents that happen on the hangar floor. Watch videos that demonstrate the topic, learn while staying engaged with multiple interactive sections in each lesson, and dive into case studies that explore the depth and breadth of each of the 7 never events. So visit our website or give us a call to discover the power of a program that people are calling as big a leap forward in maintainer safety and training as simulators were for pilots.
Join us on our website at convergentperformance.com and click the link for eLearn to sign up for this exciting program today.
Welcome back. Rapid prototyping isn't just a tool for entrepreneurs and business. I am thoroughly convinced it can be equally applicable to our personal development and daily lives. And I know that it works for me. By embracing kind of a quick fire, trial and error, problem solving approach, we can have some fun taking on challenges that used to stress us out. And we get some meaningful and practical results along the way. Here's a personal example. I used to be an athlete. Hard to believe looking at me now, I know. But a few years ago, my fitness program was basically ground to a halt because I had a bad hip. One I eventually had totally replaced. Major surgery. Thank you, Dr. Tabor. Great job. I'm back. But getting back to my former physical condition was a problem for me for a couple of reasons. One is I'd been out of it for 2.5 years. And the second one was I no longer worked near a fitness center that I once visited every day for 90 minutes. So I did what a lot of us do, right? I bought a treadmill. And then I bought a couple of stationary bikes. One recumbent and one that you sit up on top of, pedaling to nowhere. I like to call my bikes to nowhere. And then I bought a Concept 2 rowing machine and some free weights. Right? And I cleared out a whole garage bay and set it all up and hardly used any of them, right? Sound familiar? And that really bummed me out, right? First of all, because I put a lot of expense into it. Second of all, because I thought if I had the equipment, I'd be motivated to use it. It's not a problem, right? So I'm employing my study the solution approach. Currently, I started last week with just 15 minutes a day. And all I said was I'm going to take 15 minutes a day to make sure that my fitness gadgets are still working. I'm ops checking them, right? That's the first part of my solution. One at a time, 15 minutes before lunch. Not a heavy lift, not a big ask on me. And I've been able to do that. As I do it, I'm doing a couple of things, had to lubricate some stuff and scrape off some wasp nests that got in there, all that kind of stuff. But next week, I'm moving to a 30-minute schedule where I'm going to use my newly tuned up machines in combination, just 2 of them, 15 minutes each, 30 minutes a day. So my ultimate goal, incrementally, as I study and refine this, is to get back to my former 90-minute workout schedule. But I'm being flexible with it, right? I'm listening to my body. I'm looking at my schedule, and I'm adjusting as needed. Start small, get going, refine. That's what rapid prototyping is. And so far, so good, he says 5 days into the effort. So here's what we can do in 3 easy steps to implement this idea of studying the solution in our own lives. Step 1, identify some mini project or mini problem. Right? Choose some small, manageable aspect of your life that you would like to improve or you'd like to change or a problem you would like to solve. This could be something as simple as I want to wake up earlier. There's this whole thing going on, the 5 a.m. club. Learning how to cook something different, managing your stress better, or decluttering a part of your home or office. I could definitely use that. The key is to pick something specific and small enough that you can see results right away. Think of it as your prototype. Right? That starting point you're willing to experiment with. So start small. Step 2, test and observe. Put your chosen mini project or mini problem into action for a short period, right? Like I did, 15 minutes just checking out my equipment. Maybe it's a week, maybe it's even just a day, right? And this is your initial testing phase. If your project is getting up an hour earlier, set a new alarm for the same time for maybe a week. If it's a new recipe, try cooking it. During this phase, what we want to do is observe how the change affects us and how it's affecting our challenge, right? How is it working for us? Does it make me feel better? Am I accomplishing a task that I have been procrastinating on for a long time? Is it really tough to maintain? Could I make it easier? Take notes of what works and what doesn't, right? And think of this step as data collecting on your prototype. So far, so good, right? We start small, we define something, we check it out, we make a few notes. Step 3, and it's the last one, analyze and refine. After you've set your small project or tackled your small problem and you've tested and observed and made a few notes, kind of lean into it, right? What have I learned? How am I benefiting? How is my problem coming along? Was it more trouble than it was worth, or was it really a lot easier than I thought it would be? And now all we got to do is continue to refine our approach on whatever that challenge is and grow, right? If waking up earlier made your days more productive, consider making it a permanent change, right? But perhaps it felt too early. Push it back 30 minutes. That's that analyze and refine. It's all about making informed adjustments to improve that original prototype. And then you'll finally settle into something you can live with by repeating these steps across multiple aspects of our lives, right? And we get to improve, and we get to push problems out of the way. We get to reduce our stress levels. And over time, this cycle of improvement will help you make multiple incremental improvements and get some of these lingering tasks and challenges and problems off the deck, right? So finally, I think applying a rapid prototype thing as an individual human being in our personal lives, it does all this stuff that we've been talking about over the last 25 episodes. It fosters a mindset of resilience, resolve, and flexibility. And it's made real because we're continuously testing and analyzing and refining our approach. We learn to navigate a lot of complexities with a simple process, and that's that whole thing we call mental agility, right? We become better equipped to handle unexpected changes or new problems by making informed decisions and studying a solution instead of just worrying about our problems. So I think we can wrap this up here. We're going to do a few more episodes on problem solving, but I think you get the whole idea of rapid prototyping, studying a solution, putting it in play quickly before the problem changes to something else. So the principles of studying a solution rather than studying a problem gets us off the bench and gets us into the game, right? And once we're playing the game, once we're engaged with the challenge or the problem, it empowers us to approach it with a proactive, experimental, and dare I say, fun mindset. It not only makes what we're doing more effective, but it also kind of transforms the way we make progress and achieve successes in our lives, right? It makes that journey toward potential fulfillment, whatever we want to say, far less of a stress-inducing hassle because we've made it an adventure. Well, that's a wrap on episode 26. Join us again next week when we're going to continue this series on positive problem solving. And we're going to look at how we can break big problems into little ones and learn to employ some of what we've learned today to make these things manageable, controllable, and hopefully in our rearview mirror. Until then, please stay positive and keep getting better every day. And I will see you soon.